It's Monday, December 28th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Barbados has recorded another shooting death. According to police spokesman Acting Station Sergeant Michael Blackman, lawmen responded to a report around 9:15 last night of a man being shot near his residence at Ashton Village, Blackrock, St. Michael. The victim was discovered on arrival and taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance, where he was pronounced dead. As investigations continue, police are asking anyone who may have information about this deadly incident to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477, Police Emergency at 211, or any police station. Prime Minister Mia Mottley pays tribute to Leroy Sisnett, who passed away yesterday at the age of 79. In expressing condolences to his family, the Prime Minister said she was saddened by the passing of the party's stalwart, friend and former Member of Parliament for the St. Michael North East constituency, which she now represents. She described Sisnett as a national personality with a voice that for decades was synonymous with the very best of Bajan radio and the title Sweet Boy Leroy that went with him from the roads and villages of St. Michael North East to the House of Assembly. Sisnett won the seat in 1976 for the BLP and successfully defended it in the 1981 general election, but lost 5 years later. He served as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism during the JMGM Tom Adams administration. In other news, Barbados's COVID-19 count now stands at 356. 5 female visitors between the ages of 19 to 47 tested positive for the virus on Thursday. They arrived on the island between December 19th and 23rd and tested positive on their second test. 4 more cases were recorded on Friday. They were 3 female visitors ages 24, 44 and 68 and a 58-year-old male visitor. 3 of them arrived in Barbados between December 15th and 20th and tested positive on their second test. The 44-year-old came into contact with a known case. All the cases were asymptomatic. 48 persons are currently in isolation. The head of the UWI 5 Islands School of Nursing has refuted common myths and perceptions surrounding vaccines. And while nurse educator Karen Josiah said she understood the fears and doubts among members of the public, she has encouraged health workers across the Caribbean to help instill public confidence when it comes to vaccines. Her comments came as she addressed the Vice Chancellor's Forum, which explored the developments in the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic, with particular focus on the new vaccines.
The health officials must reveal sound scientific evidence and not hide anything, whether there have been good side effects or bad side effects. They have to be very convincing and truthful in letting the public know exactly what is happening. Because the moment that the public senses that there is financial gains or there any other benefits other than the health and safety of people, then that becomes a problem. Because giving ethically and truthful information is very essential, because this will help to build trust. And certainly, once trust is built, the compliance of these vaccines now becomes easy. If people don't trust the system, they're not going to want to take it. So I think now the responsibility now of the health educators, the nursing practitioners, those who have those other frontline workers who now have to give these vaccinations, they too must be informed, they too must feel the confidence so that they're able now to transfer this to the public, because only then will the public now feel safe.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization is urging nations to prepare for future pandemics. The appeal from the WHO chief came as the organization yesterday marked the first International Day of Epidemic Preparedness.
True preparedness is not just a job of the health sector. It requires an all-of-government and all-of-society approach. And third, the pandemic has highlighted the intimate links between the health of humans, animals, and planet, which we can only address with a One Health approach. Any efforts to improve human health are doomed unless they address the critical interface between humans and animals and the existential threat of climate change that's making our Earth less habitable. History tells us that this will not be the last pandemic, and epidemics are a fact of life. But with investments in public health, supported by an all-of-government, all-of-society, One Health approach, we can ensure that our children and their children inherit a safer, more resilient, and more sustainable world.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, travelers arriving in Antigua and Barbuda will be required to wear a quarantine bracelet. However, those who refuse will not be allowed to self-quarantine. We get more in this ABS News report.
People entering the country may be fitted with an electronic monitoring device if they're assessed as posing a high level of risk for transmitting COVID-19. Now, each person deemed high risk will complete a form that requests not only their consent to wear the bracelet, but information as to where they intend to self-quarantine. Now, if they refuse, they'll be quarantined at a government quarantine facility. People who agree to wear a bracelet are cautioned they could be fined up to $5,000 and spend 6 months in prison for tampering with the device. By signing the form, they also agreed to abide by attached operational guidelines. Under these guidelines, the person must wear the bracelet throughout the quarantine period and should keep it turned on and charged. Since the bracelets are waterproof, regular hand washing and showering activities are allowed, but the wearer should not submerge the device in water for long periods. The device, charger, and other related items must be returned to the health authorities at the end of the quarantine period.
On the international front, cases of the COVID-19 variant, first identified in the UK, have been confirmed in Canada. More from CBS News.
Experts had warned there were likely more cases of the COVID-19 UK variant in Canada. We now know the first couple who tested positive had a connection to a UK traveler.
I think many had expected it, and noting that the UK had been describing this variant since September.
And today, more cases emerged, even beyond Ontario. The Public Health Agency of Canada says the new variant may be significantly more contagious, as early data suggest, but so far there's no evidence it causes more severe illness.
Now, health authorities in long-term care homes are bracing for this new, more transmissible strain. But when it comes to vaccination, doctors expect the COVID-19 vaccines will still be effective.
We manage this with flu every year. The vaccine manufacturers have indicated that they'll simply adjust the production of their vaccine to take into account new strains.
Ontario health officials say large volumes of positive samples are now being screened to investigate how prevalent the variant is here.
We'll probably have a much better understanding of other variants, including this variant globally, as genomic tests scale up worldwide.
With holiday gatherings, the worry is it could be silently spreading.
And finally, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed into law a coronavirus relief and spending package bill, averting a partial government shutdown. Trump had initially refused to sign the bill, saying he wanted to give people bigger one-off payments. The delay meant that millions of Americans temporarily lost unemployment benefits. That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.